Do you ever just feel stuck? You know, like you're doing all the things, the affirmations, the visualizations, all those techniques, but it feels like nothing's really changing. Like your intentions just aren't getting through. Or maybe even it feels like your own body is somehow blocking you, like it's vibrating with some kind of alarm that keeps what you want away.
Yeah.
Why does it feel like there's this invisible wall sometimes? Is it the world or is it something inside?
Well, it's really interesting. The material we're looking at today suggests that maybe the block isn't out there or even just in your head. It might be deeper in an invisible sort of hub in your nervous system.
Okay.
The source we're diving into proposes your body might not just be stressed in a general way, but actually vibrating in like a biological state of panic.
Yeah.
And that's the real signal the universe or reality is picking up on. That's what's blocking the flow.
Huh. So it's not just mental effort or, external stuff.
Exactly. That's the core idea in this YouTube transcript we're unpacking. It really zeroes in on this invisible center and gives it a name, the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. I've heard of it medically, but...
Right, but this source takes it way further. It talks about it as an ancient biological code.
Yeah.
Even calls it the hidden key to vibrational manifestation.
Wow, okay. Hidden key. That definitely grabs my attention. So our mission here is to really explore that perspective, right? Understand what the source means by the body's vibration, the vagus nerve's role, how it pulls in ancient wisdom and modern science, and then crucially, what it actually suggests we do about it, the practical stuff. Let's get into it.
Okay, so right away, the source talks about the problem in ways I think a lot of us recognize. Things like shallow breathing, or that constant tension you carry in your shoulders, sleepless nights, brain fog.
Yeah.
They call these code, not just symptoms, but actual signals that something unseen inside is blocking the flow of the reality you want.
Codes. Like the body's trying to tell it something.
Exactly. The source makes this really clear distinction. You might be thinking about freedom or abundance or peace. But if your body is sending out these signals, the shallow breath, the tension, then your nervous system, totally unconsciously, is screaming survival or alarm. So the idea is this inner field is out of sync.
Yeah.
And that misalignment dictates the actual frequency you're putting out. That's what reality is responding to, according to this source.
So it's less about the words and thoughts and more about the body's silent broadcast. And the vagus nerve is central to that.
That's the argument, yeah. The source points to the vagus nerve as this invisible center, shaping, well, basically everything. How you feel, how you react, and it even claims what you attract. It's presented as more than just anatomy. It's this ancient biological code, almost like a bridge between our physical selves and maybe higher states of awareness.
A bridge. How does it supposedly work? How can one nerve be so important?
Well, the source explains, it's the longest cranial nerve. It runs from the brainstem way down, connecting to the heart, lungs, the gut, all those vital organs. It describes the vagus nerve as integrating all these things, emotions, gut feelings, intuition, even decisions, into what it calls a single frequency. And here's the really compelling part. The claim is when you consciously learn to influence this nerve, to kind of activate it, your whole internal state shifts. And because of that, the external world starts responding differently. The source lists specific things.
Yeah.
Anxiety fades, focus sharpens, intuition gets louder, your whole vibrational field gets more coherent. And then those desired states, like peace or clarity, they start to feel genuinely within reach.
That sounds like a really direct link between our physiology and, everything else.
Is this presented as a totally new idea, or does it connect to older wisdom? Oh, definitely older wisdom. This is where it gets fascinating. The source insists this isn't some brand new concept. It argues ancient traditions absolutely understood this mind-body harmony thing and its role in shaping reality long before we mapped the nervous system. It even mentions something called the thrive of the gods. It seems to mean like ancient hermetic wisdom, maybe, teaching that manifestation comes from this inner alignment.
Okay, let's dig into that. How does the source connect this nerve to specific traditions?
Well, it draws several parallels. It brings up Hermes, as above, so below. Microcosm reflects macrocosm.
Right.
The source interprets that through this vagus nerve lens, suggesting that aligning your inner state, the vibration managed by this nerve, is this sort of hidden biological key to influencing the outer world, like a sacred code built into it.
That gives as within, so without, a very physical mechanism. What about someone like Soph?
Yeah, it mentions Thoth too. Apparently he taught that the body itself is a key, that every sensation, every feeling carries a frequency. The real work, Thoth suggested, isn't seeking something out there, but going deep within the physical form, the vessel. And then it connects this directly to the Emerald Tablets, quoting that line, "You shall separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the dense."
Okay.
The source argues this isn't just poetry, it's interpreted as a literal instruction. Purify your body's vibration by separating the reactive mind from the conditioned tense body, discerning the subtle from the dense, basically.
Wow, that's quite an interpretation. Linking alchemy to the nervous system. What about yogic tradition?
Right. It points to the Sushumna Nadi in yogic thought, that central energy channel along the spine where Kundalini is said to rise. The Force notes how closely that energy map aligns with the physical path of the vagus nerve, suggesting, maybe it's a parallel understanding of a vital internal pathway for raising consciousness or energy.
So different words, different cultures, but maybe pointing to the same thing inside us.
That's the synthesis the Source has built. It also mentions alchemy, not just turning lead into gold outside, but as an internal practice, the body as a living lab.
Right, transmuting emotions.
Exactly. Transmuting fear, tension, those base states into higher one. And it wasn't about fighting the body, but raising its vibration, making it receptive. The Source says this involved things like presence, breath control, working through the body to master the mind. It wraps this up, saying the great masters knew the real work meant going into the inner temple, which isn't in the stars, but in those subtle connections, breath to heart to mind, your inner state to everything.
That really ties those ancient threads together. So how does it bridge this to modern science then?
Well, the transition is pretty clear. It says science didn't find this in ancient temples, obviously, but in labs.
Yeah.
Using modern tools. It specifically highlights Dr. Stephen Porges and his polyvagal theory from the 90s.
Ah, yes, polyvagal theory.
Right. And the key insight from polyvagal, as the Source presents it, is that the vagus nerve is basically our internal safety detector. It's constantly scanning inside and out, asking, am I safe? Is there danger? Or do I need to shut down?
And that feeling determines our state.
Completely. That felt sense of safety or threat dictates everything. When it senses danger, even if it's old trauma triggers or just chronic stress, it kicks into survival mode. And the Source emphasizes survival mode shuts down the higher stuff. Creativity, empathy, flexible thinking, and that spiritual clarity needed for conscious creation.
So feeling biologically safe is the foundation for accessing those higher.
That's the idea. And the Source points to clinical evidence. It mentions how stimulating the vagus nerve can actually shift the brain out of reactivity into more coherent. This allows for clearer perception, decisions based on presence, not fear. It notes vagal stimulation is already used for anxiety, depression, PTSD.
Right, I've read about that.
With reported results like feeling more connected, more peaceful, better quality of life overall.
It's powerful when science starts mapping what ancient wisdom seemed to know intuitively.
And the Source really connects the dots here. It basically says what the ancients called the rise of vital energy. That's what neuroscience now calls autonomic regulation. Two names, same process. Lifting the body's internal state, its vibration, to access more subtle creative levels. The Source sums it up very powerfully. Proven in clinics, activated in temples, the path is the same, and it's within your reach.
That really lands the point. Okay, so if the body's state through the vagus nerve is so central, what does the Source say we should actually do? How do we work with this?
It lays out what it calls a vibrational protocol, basically a practical 5-step framework for this inner realignment.
Okay, a protocol. Let's walk through it. Step 1.
Step 1 is vibrational diagnosis. Before you change anything, you got to know where you're starting from. Honestly, check. Is your body mostly in defense mode or expansion mode?
How do you tell?
Pay attention to your breathing. Is it shallow, held high in the chest, uneven? The Source calls these warning codes. The practice is just to pause during the day, scan your internal state. Gently, no judgment. Just notice. The Source claims this simple act of noticing starts to activate the vagus nerve, reintroducing the feeling of safety.
Okay, so starting with awareness, not fixing, just noticing. Step 2.
Step 2, neuroquantum anchoring. This is about using your breath deliberately. Deep, rhythmic, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing.
Right.
The Source says this is one of the fastest ways to interrupt the alarm cycle. The instruction is simple. Breathe in deep through the nose, feel the belly expand, then exhale slowly through the mouth, making the exhale longer than the inhale. That slow exhale is key. It directly signals safety. Doing this, it claims, changes brain chemistry and opens up a new vibrational portal.
So specific breathing sends a direct message. Got it. What's step 3?
Step 3 is sound activation. The Source emphasizes the vagus nerve loves frequency, loves vibration, so using deep, rhythmic, intentional sound is powerful.
Like chanting.
Yeah, chanting mantras like OM, really focusing on extending the tone, feeling that buzz in your throat and chest that apparently vibrates the vagal branches right there. But even just humming gently or singing softly that works too. It creates internal coherence, which the Source says is the best state for co-creation.
I can imagine feeling that vibration. Okay, step 4.
Step 4, sensory coherence ritual. This is about creating one intentional moment each day to fully connect with your body, your senses, and just be present.
Examples.
Simple things, like really feeling the water in the shower, walking barefoot outside for a minute, eating a meal in total silence, just noticing the taste and texture, or even just pausing, hand on heart, feeling your breath. The key is consciously engaging your senses, touch, hearing, smell. It pulls you out of autopilot, establishes a new pattern of attention. The source calls this activating your inner guardian.
Turning everyday moments into mindful rituals.
Okay.
And the last step.
Step 5, the final one. Morning tuning with embodied intention. This is designed for those first few minutes right after you wake up. The source says your system is super receptive then, before the day's noise hits.
Makes sense.
The practice. Sit up, connect with that deep breath from step 2, and then speak an intention or affirmation aloud, calmly, steadily. But here's the crucial part. Don't just say it. Feel it. Feel the vibration of that intention in your body. Visualize it taking root inside you. The mind gives the command, the source says, but the body records the code. This sets the vibrational gateway for the day.
Aligning mind, body, intention first thing. And the source suggests that consistently doing these 5 steps, that's what makes a difference.
Yes. The promise is if you consistently apply these, you're literally rewriting your internal energy signature. And then the claim is your external reality starts to reorganize around that new, higher, more coherent vibration.
That's a clear framework, working from the inside out. But that's not always that simple, is it? The source mentions obstacles, right? Like that story about Kalen.
Exactly. The source shares this story about Kalen, who sounds like he tried everything, manifestation courses, retreats, gurus, you name it. But he still felt this deep anxiety, this stuckness, like an invisible barrier.
So he was putting in the effort, but no results.
Pretty much. And apparently he was really frustrated until he learned about the vagus nerve as this vibrational switch. He started tuning in differently, noticing his own codes, the shallow breath, tense shoulders, clenched jaw. And he realized, wow, my body is constantly in alarm mode, even though I want peace and flow. The insight was that his body wasn't failing. It was asking for reconnection, for safety, not just another mental technique.
Okay.
And the source uses his story to pinpoint what it sees as the number one obstacle.
Impatience.
Impatience.
Yeah. Kalen didn't find instant bliss. He focused on simple things that slow breathing, some gentle humming, physiology shifting gradually. As he stuck with it consistently, the anxiety flow started returning. The big lesson wasn't that his mind failed, but that his tense body needed that consistent safety signal to change its vibration. That really drives home that it's the body state, not just willpower. And impatience gets in the way.
It's presented as the biggest hurdle. Yeah. People want that quick fix, like flipping a switch. But the source is clear. Your nervous system learned those stress patterns over years. You can't just zap it into a new state instantly with a thought. It responds to consistent coherent, not frantic bursts of effort. And that's where the source says so many people give up. They don't see huge results in days, so they go back to chasing the next shiny object, ignoring the body's quiet signals again.
So the real power lies in those small, consistent acts.
Absolutely. The source really emphasizes this. Real change starts small. Maybe just 1 minute of deep breathing when you wake up, a few seconds of humming before bed, a conscious pause during the day. These aren't weak. The source calls them fractals of power.
Fractals of power, I like that.
Each one, done consistently, sends that crucial message deep into your biology. We're safe, relax, be present. And the source explains, when the body truly gets that message, believes it, the internal field shifts. The vibration rises naturally. And reality, which this material says is always responding to frequency, starts reorganizing around that new coherence. It's not about needing more complexity. It's about cultivating that inner vibrational consistency. The source says when the body gets quiet and aligned, the field responds. It's the invisible coherence between feeling, intention, and vibration that matters.
That really flips the usual approach of trying to force things mentally or externally, doesn't it?
It really does. And the source kind of concludes this point by saying that activating the vagus nerve isn't just some biological trick. It's seen as returning to where spirit meets matter, right within you. In that aligned inner space, intention becomes physical structure. Words take form. Presence shapes reality. And it all comes back to that simple, consistent practice of breathing with awareness, connecting with your body. That's how the world starts tuning to your frequency, according to this view. No shortcuts, but no huge mystery either. The right vibration just emerges when the body isn't fighting itself anymore, when it finally feels safe. That's when the invisible forces are said to listen.
You know, that idea of the body stopping fighting itself, it reminds me of that Hippocrates quote, the source.
Yes, exactly. Before you heal someone, ask them if they're willing to give up the things that made them sick. And the source links that directly to this resistance people face. Are you willing to give up the urgency? The vibrational self-sabotage, like staying stuck in tension. Are you willing to finally stop ignoring those subtle but vital signals from your own body?
It puts the responsibility squarely back on our relationship with our own inner state.
Totally. The source presents the body not as an obstacle to overcome, but as your most faithful instrument of creation. Reality doesn't just shift because you wish hard enough. It shifts, this source argues, when the vibration before the shift is held quiet, consistently. authentic from a body in a state of truth.
So wrapping this up, the core message from this source material seems to be that manifestation alignment, it's not just mental, it's deeply rooted in the body state, especially as regulated by the vagus nerve. Change happens when our internal frequency, held consistently from a place of safe adherence, matches what we desire.
Yeah, and if you think about the bigger picture implication, it suggests maybe that deep, often unconscious felt sense of safety or alarm mediated by the vagus nerve. Maybe that's the hidden command reality is truly listening to.
That definitely leaves us powerful. So for you listening, reflecting on this deep dive, if this is right, if your body's internal is the real command, what's one small act you would offer? Just 1 minute of quiet hum. Just something to start sending that new, more aligned. What part of dive stood out